Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan, astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the full moon, which is happening on the 22nd of June for those of us in the southern hemisphere. For other people in other areas, it could happen on the 21st, but it's the 21st, 22nd, you'll be feeling the energy. And in fact, you'll be feeling a lot of this energy already, and I'll explain why in a sec. So this full moon comes close on the heels of the solstice. So it's the winter solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere, and the summer solstice if you're in the northern hemisphere. The longest day of the year in the north, and the longest night of the year in the south. So it's a changing of seasons as well. So it's the end of one season and the beginning of another season. And that's very descriptive of the energies this full moon. So this full moon, the moon is in the sign of Capricorn, and it's opposite the sun in Cancer, which is traveling along with Venus and Mercury. So Venus is the planet of love and partnership, relationship, money. Mercury is the planet of the mind, of our communication. And then, of course, the sun, which is our central light, the light of who we are. So when these two are opposite, it always creates a polarity, which is always a theme at full moon. Full moon's always a time to release. It's the culmination of a moon cycle. And this one being in Capricorn is really interesting, not only because it's in Capricorn, but because of what else is actually influencing this full moon. So first of all, I'll just bring sort of general themes in, because this is not your typical Capricorn full moon. Capricorn full moons are often about sort of ready to go, ready to climb a mountain, ready to go for your goals, clear vision. That's the mountain I'm climbing. This is how I'm going to climb it. But there's a lot of difference this full moon in Capricorn. So first of all, this full moon is the first of two full moons in Capricorn. The one now on the 21st, 22nd of June, and then a second one and on the 21st of July, which is going to be just before the sun leaves Cancer. We have another full moon. So we have a very, very strong Cancer-Capricorn theme this full moon. However, both of those full moons are connected with the planet Neptune. And Neptune kind of really changes the parameters energetically. So if you're watching this before the full moon, or on the full moon, or after the full moon, you might be feeling a little tired. You might be feeling a little bit unsettled, a little bit confused, a little bit of just not sure where you're going. Some people are feeling a bit hopeless. There's a kind of a dissolving element to this full moon. There's a very feminine element because there's a lot of feminine energy. There's very little fire around at the moment. There's a lot of earth, there's a lot of water, mainly water. So if we look at the water and the earth together, first of all, the moon, which is in Capricorn. Capricorn is generally the sign of let's go up the mountain. It's the mountain goat. So it's very concerned with ambition, getting structures in place. It's ruled by the planet Saturn. So it really is the sign which is concerned with making it happen, getting your act together, sorting out your finances, sorting out your papers, bringing structure into your life, doing all the things that you've been putting off. That's Capricorn. It's kind of a stern taskmaster, but it kind of provides an earth and a container for us to actually move forward in our lives. Okay, now that's the moon in Capricorn is the need to move forward, the need to bring in some structure, the need to feel safe and secure as you climb the mountain. Have you got all your supplies? Have you got enough food? Have you got enough ropes? Are you climbing the right mountain? Are you following the rules? Those are all very Capricornian kind of words. But opposite that, you've got three planets in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of the home. It's the sign of family. It's the crab. The crab wants to go inside, wants to retreat. And if you ever watch a little crab in a rock pool and you throw a piece of bread in, you'll see that the crab will go sideways and probably grab the piece of bread and then scuttle back under its rock again. So the two elements of Capricorn and Cancer, Capricorn is very outward. It's what are you doing out there in the world? How are you shining your light? How are you earning your living? What's your next step? What's your 5-year goal? What's your 2-year goal? What's your diary like next week? It's very handy. It's very useful. Cancer really is the energy at this point of just, Cancer is more the energy of being home, being cozy, being comfortable, feeling safe, connecting with your soul, connecting at a deeper level, and feeling everything. So that's a very big theme this full moon, is feeling everything. There's a lot of water, particularly with 3 personal planets in Cancer, plus they are in a square to Neptune in Pisces, which is a water sign. The ruler of the full moon is Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. So there's a very watery, oceanic feel to this full moon. What are we supposed to do with it? Well, first of all, Capricorn and the full moon in Capricorn asks us to really look at the conditioned patterns, our emotional reactivity. It asks us to mature. It asks us to take responsibility for our own feelings and not to project them. Now, this can go back. It's also linked to the Pluto cycle. Pluto went through Capricorn from 2008 until kind of this year. It's also looking at that cycle. Anything that was going on in 2008, you might be revisiting areas in your life and saying, how have I matured since then? Am I still reacting in the same way? Do I still have those knee-jerk reactions, which might come from a feeling of not being safe, a feeling of not being secure? How do I deal with my emotions? Can I feel my emotions? Or do I project them onto someone else and blame them for how I'm feeling? Now, Capricorn moon and Saturn in Pisces says, own your emotions. Be responsible for your emotions. Feel what you need to feel and self-parent yourself. So not blaming parents, not blaming partners, not blaming children or siblings or anyone else. It's to actually take full responsibility for what we're feeling in any moment without judgment. Because you've got these 3 planets in Cancer, which are saying, can you hold a space for the feelings that are arising? Saturn is helping us. It's almost like a kind parent that comes along and says, come, darling, let me hold you in this space. Now, usually, if there's a Capricorn focus, it'll be, I haven't got time for that. Let me carry on up the mountain. And I'm sensing with this Neptune connection that that's not always possible right now. So can we allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel without analyzing, without fixing, without trying to sort it out, without trying to justify why we're feeling, without making a story of what we're feeling? Can we, over the next month, because this is a month's process, can we feel what we need to feel and allow ourselves to just be the way we are? Whatever that is that it's arising. Because there is a dissolving happening of the old. There's an upgrade in our consciousness in terms of a higher awareness being brought into our dynamic on earth. So can we become aware of the old patterns that are dissolving out of our lives? And that can sometimes feel sad. That was the old me, but I'm not that anymore. I'm not quite sure what the new me is, but I'm not that. And I don't feel the same way. I don't have the same passions. I don't have the same desires. I may be, for example, you might be a very out there driven person. You might not be feeling so driven at the moment. You might be feeling less driven. Or if you've been kind of quite sedentary and not very driven, you might feel the opposite. But things are changing. And the dynamic is shifting very much from outward driven only to honoring the feminine, honoring the internal world as well as the external world, and creating a safe place for that to happen. In that space, we grow and we evolve. As soon as we come into the mind, as soon as we try and sort it out from the mind, at the moment, we might find that it's just more foggy because we have these 3 planets in Cancer, which are squaring Neptune. Neptune dissolves the ego. Neptune dissolves the mind. So when we're trying to do something from the same place that we've always done it from before, it doesn't seem to work. This is more of an unfolding and an allowing and a surrendering process, which is hell for the ego, because the ego wants to make it happen, and preferably now, and give me a spreadsheet in terms of when's it going to happen and how's it going to happen and where am I going to end up. Now, none of us know that right now, because our planet is in the state of huge transition. So we don't know where we're going on our planet. We might have an idea, we might be moving towards those goals, that's fine, but we don't know for sure, because everything's kind of like this. You can see by the political systems, by the economic systems, the medical systems, there's a lot of restructuring happening, or the crashing of old structures. And that is mirrored in our own reality, in our personal reality. So it's a collective reality and a personal reality. We are not disconnected from everything else. So what's happening out there is happening in here. What's happening in here is happening out there. So that for me is where we're at with this full moon. You would feel this now. I'm making this on the 19th of June, and definitely the energies are coming through, because at the moment the Sun is in a square to Neptune. Venus is in a square to Neptune. And then the moon starts to come around and enter in to that alignment as well, also in a square to Neptune. And this will last for the full month. And when we finish this particular cycle on the 21st of July, there is definitely a releasing and a letting go there as well, and a new beginning. So I see this as a kind of a letting go. After the full moon, it's a letting go, it's a releasing, it's an allowing that which is no longer relevant to not be there, not to overanalyze, to just allow, You will probably be feeling this more if you have any planets in the cardinal signs, which is Cancer, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, early degrees. So it's sort of between 0 degrees and let's just say 3 or 4 degrees of any of those signs, you would be feeling this more. There's a reassessment. There is a re-looking at how we work with our goals, how we move towards our goals, how we nurture ourselves. Are we able to nurture ourselves? Are we able to parent ourselves? Are we taking responsibilities for our emotions, or are we outsourcing them to someone else? This also connects very closely with the cycle of Neptune. Neptune is at the moment at 29 degrees of Pisces, and it's basically heading towards the closure of its journey in Pisces. Saturn is at the moment in Pisces, and next year and the following year they start to move out of Pisces. So this is it's a much bigger cycle than this full moon, but it's a cycle that's unfolding as we go. So it's a spiritual maturation, a spiritual mastery. Saturn in Pisces, it comes around once every 29 years, and it's sitting in the middle of Pisces right now, and it's saying, what is your spiritual connection like? What are the illusions? It's showing us the illusions. It's showing us where we've been deceived, where we've deceived ourselves, where we've been living in an ideal. It's showing us those things in broad daylight so that we can see them. And that's not always easy, because sometimes we like living in the illusion. But Saturn is showing us those illusions. It's breaking down the barriers. It's taking the veil down. It's lifting the veils from our eyes. And that can be quite a process as well, because we're often very attached to the visions and the dreams that we've had. So this is a time where those dreams that were very much part of our reality are dissolving, some of them, and they're making room for a new energy to come in. That's really what we're going through on our planet, and this full moon kind of really shows that for me. I think that one of the big things that we can do right now is just to breathe, just to bring ourselves into presence, just to connect with what's happening in this moment, not in the head, not trying to analyze it, because as soon as we do that, we're actually going out of the process. So this is a time for just being, just placing your hand on your heart and breathing and allowing and opening to whatever is arising, whether that's beautiful, whether it's challenging, whatever it is. Not feeling very well, okay, I'm opening to that. Not feeling very motivated, okay, then that's the way it needs to be. It is as it is. Or I am feeling very motivated, wonderful. Let me move through this. So it's opening to it all and not trying to overanalyze any of it. And allowing in that way for our souls to guide us, not our heads. That's what we're moving away from. We use our heads, we use our brains, we use our discernment, but it doesn't use us. That's the shift. So I pulled a card out of this deck, the Divine Feminine, and this card that leapt out was Ariadne, and she's the mistress of the labyrinth, which seemed really apt for this full moon. Her message is, my soul knows the way, and the only way out is through. So Ariadne represents the love and support available to us when we dare to be courageous. And this is courage is needed for this. And Capricorn is there to help us with that, because it's a mountain goat, it's courageous, it'll go. Ariadne is known as being both a Greek goddess and the human daughter of Minos, king of Crete. Her father put her in charge of the labyrinth where 7 human sacrifices were made every 7 years to appease the monitor who lived within it. The monitor had the head of a bull and the body of a man. He preyed on those who got lost in the dark. One year, a valiant and heroic man named Theseus went into the labyrinth to slay the Minotaur and end the sacrifices. Ariadne fell madly in love with him and gave him a sword to kill the Minotaur and a ball of red thread so that he could find his way back out of the labyrinth and into the light. Ancient Greek myths were oral, so there are varying accounts of Theseus and Ariadne eloping after his success, or others where Ariadne's consort Dionysus, the Greek god of ritual madness and religious ecstasy, chases after her and pleads with her to return to him. Whichever way the story ends, the constant is that Ariadne's love and support changed the fate of so many who would otherwise have been lost to the labyrinth. When your soul selects the card, Ariadne is a symbol of the hope, the divine assistance, and the step-by-step process we can take to move through a difficult time or to confront an injustice in our life. Very apt for right now. Step by step, moment by moment. She helps Theseus because he's daring to end a pattern of madness. He's willing to do whatever needs to be done to stop the injustice. That is what we're doing right now. We're ending patterns, ancient, age-old patterns, collectively, of madness, and within ourselves as well. She gives him the tools to create his desired outcome. He is successful because of her, and she assists him because he acts with courage. Her message is that our courage is always in some way rewarded. When we seek to end an unnecessary pattern or routine that is no longer serving us, even though we initially created it in the effort to keep us safe, it can feel as insurmountable as facing a horned part man, part beast that lives in a dark maze inside us. It can feel like pure terror. But the soul always wants our freedom. The divine is what liberates. It does not confine. It might feel like we can't find our way out of a situation, this maze, but we can. We can trust the soul knows the way through, and that spiritual support is a given. Spiritual support is a given. Ariadne wants us to be brave so that we can fall in love with our actions. She's both a goddess and a human. She gets our fear, but she also knows just how much power we hold as well. And the soul voice meditation is what allows me to feel supported while doing the inner work. And this full moon, the new moon in 2 weeks' time, the full moon at the end of the month, all have very similar themes. It's all about the inner work. There's nothing else. That's what it's about. That's what we're here to do. We're here to heal and come back to love, which is very strong, the very strong message of Ariadne. Can we hold a place of unconditional love for ourselves and for everybody around us? That's a big call, but that's what this is about. That's the evolution of the soul. So in order to do that, we need to be shown the patterns that are stopping us from that. We need to be shown the patterns that are blocking our light, blocking us from feeling this and living this liberation that is our birthright. So be patient with yourself, be loving with yourself, be kind. Take breaths during the day, really. Just bring yourself back into the breath. 3 deep breaths. Breathe longer on the out breath and shorter on the in breath. And that immediately starts to just settle us. And when you're focused on breathing, your mind is occupied with the focusing on the breathing. So your mind isn't going into stories. In that way, you can hold a space for whatever's arising without going into the story. You can just notice it. Mars in Taurus is helping us with this, and it can help in the way of a somatic awareness. So being available and being conscious and aware of, where am I feeling this in my body? I'm feeling it over here, or I'm feeling it in my neck, or I'm feeling a tightness. Breathe and open to it. And there's a release that happens as soon as we open. It's almost like opening a tap, and the energy is allowed to and can actually move straight through and not get stuck and create more of the same pattern. So it's opening the tap, opening the channel, clearing. And we do that by being conscious and aware and present with whatever is happening in the moment. So I hope that has helped in some way. Please let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Let me know if this has resonated with you. If you would like to set up a session to see how these big movements, mainly Neptune, and this whole big cycle with Pluto and Neptune and Saturn, how they are working in your chart, you're welcome to contact me via my website below. I have a couple of weeks delay, I think, but just message me and we'll set up a session for you. And I work all over the world on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are. It's wonderful in that sense that we can actually connect one-on-one, even if we're sitting in different parts of the world. It's a real privilege and a real honor, and very grateful for that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you haven't seen my updates before, please would you like this video? It helps to get the word out. Please subscribe and hit the notification button. I post once every 2 weeks only. And yes, get hold of me if you need to look at your chart in respect to what's happening for the collective. Thanks so much for listening.